YouTube? Andrew Darling here. Hey guys, I did an unboxing early in September. This is now October, and it was for the Kocaso Nova One. So what I wanted to do is finally give you my review. I used the device as my primary device for a few days. My daughter used it as her primary device for, golly, probably about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. And then my son used it as well as a tablet. So my daughter's 12, my son is 4. I wanted to give kind of an idea of what they were going to use it for, how they use it. That was all part of the agreement I had with Kocaso when they sent it to me. I told them that as part of my use case scenario, I definitely wanted to allow my children to use it. My children are probably a good example of who would be a customer for this particular device, in that it is a mid-range device. While the packaging itself, like we talked about in unboxing, the packaging is phenomenal. The packaging is absolutely up there with your Apples, your OnePlus, better than Samsung in my opinion. The packaging is phenomenal for a budget-friendly device. So we're going to go over the specs first. I'll show you the screen as well as just some of the prices with some of the questions that I asked as far as who the target market's going to be and whatnot. I definitely sent those questions to Kocaso and the individual that sent me the phone to review. So we're going to go ahead and get into that, and then we'll get into my daughter's thoughts on it as a phone and my son's thoughts of it as a tablet, and then I'll come in for my conclusion and figure out whether you should get it. I'm also going to tell you guys at the end what the potential price is supposed to be for the device. So here we go. As you can tell here by the spec sheet, the Kocaso Nova One has a 6-inch capacitive touch IPS display. The resolution on it is 960 by 540 at a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. However, for most folks that are going to be using this device, it's going to be used as a budget-friendly mid-range device that is going to be good for individuals who might have poorer eyesight than some of us. The 8GB built-in storage is not enough for a power user or somebody like me, but should be sufficient for most folks who generally only use their phone to call and text anyway. The phone is only a 2G and 3G model, therefore there is no HSPA Plus and there is no 4G LTE available for it. This device also has a 5-megapixel rear-facing camera and a 2-megapixel front-facing camera, neither of which are anything to write home about, but that is sufficient for what you would expect on a mid-range device today. It does have the built-in microphones as well as the 3.5mm earphone jack, 2600 milliamp hour battery, which should give you about 2 or 2.5 hours of screen on time with relatively hard use. It does come with Android 4.4.2. It also has a whole bunch, it supports a bunch of different audio and video formats, and it does come with the Google Play Store pre-installed. There are some software bugs with the Twitter client that is installed. However, I've been told that that is going to be fixed prior to the actual launch. And here is my 12-year-old daughter's version, and this is just kind of a quick question and answer session. You might want to turn your volume up a little bit. I'm still working on how to fix audio and get it a little bit louder. So her answers are a little bit muted, but if you turn it up a little bit, you should be able to hear it. Alright, Anna, what did you think of the size of the phone?
I thought it was really big. Like, is it a phone or a tablet? Like, choose one.
What about one-handed use?
I think it's very difficult because it's so big, and not everybody has big hands.
What about your ability to call? Was the reception good on the phone?
Not really. I would say the reception was about average for everywhere that I've been, so school and home.
What about texting?
That's good, but some conversations, they'd be split up. Like, you'd have your conversations or what you sent to one person, and then in another conversation what they sent back to you.
And what about the battery life? How was the battery life in your experience?
Since I didn't use it at school or when I wasn't home that much, it was pretty good. Left me at 80% if I were to be home, and then if I were to stay on it until it was time for me to go to sleep, it'd probably be at about 30-20%.
So you weren't using your phone at school? Are you sure you weren't using your phone at school?
I have no comment.
This is going on the internet. Are you sure you weren't using your phone at school?
I have no comment.
Now, how did it compare to the normal feature phone or dumb phone that you have? Did you like it more or less than that phone?
I liked it way more.
Way more, and why is that?
You could hear people more. It didn't take as long to text people. And if you wanted to text at night, people couldn't hear you texting.
Why? Because people can hear the clicks of your feature phone when you try to text somebody?
Yes.
Okay, and how did it compare to the Nexus 7 that we have at the house that you and your brother play with as a tablet?
It is a tablet. And I think it's better because it has more battery life. And you can download way more stuff on it.
On the Nexus 7? During the day, when you did not use the phone at school, and you'd come home at night after a little bit of texting your friends, playing a couple games. By the time you went to bed, you were usually between 30 and 40%?
Sure.
About how long do you think total time that the phone was on?
I'd say about a couple hours.
Yeah, probably 2.5 hours. Similar to what I experienced with it. What do you think for somebody who's your age and maybe it's going to be their first smartphone, or maybe somebody grandma's age and it's going to be their first smartphone? What do you think about the Kocaso Nova One as a good phone for somebody?
Number one, I don't think old people should have smartphones.
Why is that?
Grandma can barely text. Well, she can't text at all. And honey texts one finger at a time.
So if folks from previous generations are going to have smartphones, they need to learn how to utilize them, basically.
No, they don't need smartphones.
What kind of phones do they need?
Flip phones.
That's your opinion on the Kocaso Nova One? What was your favorite feature?
The emojis.
You are definitely a kid. What was your least favorite feature?
The reception.
Because it isn't a 4G phone, so the reception was pretty slow here in Colombia, right?
And the storage.
The storage and the reception was not very strong in the phone, correct?
Correct.
You got anything special you want to say to YouTube that I can cut out later?
Do not follow him. Bye, YouTube.
So here's my quick question to answer with Quincy. He's 4 years old. He normally uses his Nexus 7. He does like the Nexus 7 a little bit more. Not necessarily for the reasons you might think, but the Nexus 7 is kind of his baby. So he's a little biased towards it, but he did like the Kocaso Nova One, and here are his thoughts on that. So Quincy, which one do you like better? Do you like the Kocaso Nova One, or do you like your Nexus 7?
My Nexus 7.
And why do you like your Nexus 7 more?
Because I always like to play with it with games.
Okay, what do you like about your Nexus 7 more than the tablet you have right there in front of you? Do you like the shape of the Nexus 7 better, or do you like the shape of the Kocaso better?
I like the shape of the Nexus 7 better.
Does it feel better in the hand?
Yeah.
It does? Do you like that screen?
Yeah.
But that screen is okay for you to play games with? No? What don't you like about that screen? What's your favorite game to play on the...
Angry Birds.
You like Angry Birds? What's your other favorite game to play?
Temple Run.
Temple Run. Okay, and both of those come installed with the phone, huh? Do you like the packaging it came in?
I don't know. Those are my thoughts, YouTube.
So you guys had the opportunity to see what my kids thought about it. Like my daughter said, reception was not strong with the device. Even here in Colombia, where there's a pretty solid 2G and 3G network with T-Mobile, reception was not as strong as with some flagship phones, which is to be expected, and being able to keep the budget to a reasonable place like Kocaso has with this phone, that might be expected, and that reception is not going to be as strong as a flagship. So there are no plans right now for Kocaso to work with any carriers to sell these directly in any carrier stores. That's something, one of the questions I asked one of the individual who sent this to me. The phone's going to be available through online retailers. It's going to be available sometime soon. As soon as I do find out it's available, I'm going to put the link below in the description. I have a final prototype model, so there were a couple bugs like we talked about, Twitter, Facebook. When you link them to the Play Store, you can't update to the newest version. So you have an outdated version of the app, but it's linked to the Play Store, so you can't override it at the Play Store with a newer app. It has to do with the system app and talking to the Play Store. It's a little bit more than that, but that's supposed to all be worked out. And the target audience, okay, it is a dual SIM device. It does have an SD card. So it has a micro SD card slot. It's dual SIM for the international users. It's also targeted at domestic users who want a budget-friendly phone. There's a huge market for people who want smartphones who simply don't have them right now. Who do I think the target market is from using the device for a little bit? I think it's going to be younger children who want big devices. It's going to be older individuals. Don't take my daughter's comments as mine. She says old people should have flip phones. I disagree. My grandma actually has an S3. So the main thing with older folks is a lot of them are having eyesight troubles. And those are obviously, when I say older folks, I'm talking about 70s, 80s. So if they want to get into the smartphone market, and even though it is a little bit heavy, it's not the lightest device in the world, even though it is a little bit heavy, it should be something that a senior citizen should be able to figure out with relative ease with the vanilla Android. So the main question I guess everybody has is, what the heck is the price going to be? What do you think it's going to be? You know it's not going to be $350 because you can get a 1+1 for that. You know it's not going to be $299 because you can get a 16 gig 1+1 for that. You're hoping it's probably not going to be $275. There's some decent devices out there that you can get for that. You're hoping it's not going to be in the mid 200s. You're hoping it's not even going to be 200, and you'd be right. It is actually gonna the price range that they're anticipating is between 165 and 175 US dollars. So between 165 and 175 US dollars. I would just try and keep it mentally in my mind. If you're thinking about getting this device, mentally keep it under 200 is just where I would think going into it. Obviously, that's not final pricing. That's just what he gave me as a good guideline. So I appreciate it. Listen, YouTube, if you have any questions about the Kocaso Nova One, I'm going to put a link to the Kocaso website. As far as those of you with kids, preteens, young teenagers, or mothers and grandparents, fathers, grandparents that are starting to get of age, and they're still they haven't bucked that trend yet to get a smartphone, I definitely think this is a good device for them. Is it going to be something that I can use as a daily driver? No, it's not. But I am not your average user. For your average user that just needs a smartphone, that doesn't download a lot of apps and games, uses it for basic email, maybe some social networking, calls and text, this phone is going to be more than sufficient. And for a price tag that's going to be under 200 bucks, there are very few phones out there that I think are going to give you a better value than the Kocaso Nova One. So let me know in the comments what you think, YouTube. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.